sometimes I think Christianity can be portrayed as a God who cares too deeply about the minute actions of each individual. That has not been my experience of Christianity. My experience of Christianity has been that God allows for free agency, and that I don't know that he cares so much about each of your actions, but more or less your intent behind those actions. Because it occurs to me that the same action can be performed with two different intentions, and it can be proper and useful with one intention, and it can be improper and not useful with another intention. So like if your intention for helping someone is only to get personal gain, then the action taken there, I don't know is proper.
Yeah.
But if the helping of another individual is done out of a place of selflessness in care for the greater good, then I think there's a benefit that happens to the individual. And it's not that, when I say it's improper, the problem is that the individual that performs this service finds no growth because the aspect in which they're performing it is selfish. And so there isn't this growth that can happen from, a perspective of higher order unity. It's being degraded down into reductionism. Me.
Well, let's spend a beat on that. 12 Rules for Life, Jordan Peterson. I'm sure you've read this.
Yep.
He talks about this idea in that book where he says the majority of people who are out there trying to help serve others are actually extremely narcissistic. And there's like this really fine line between the reason why we can serve or help somebody being, self-serving versus like externally serving somebody else.
Yeah.
Like having pure and right intent, right? So like, how do you actually, I constantly ask myself this because it's like, when you do help somebody, it feels good. It makes you feel good, inevitably. And I'm always like, did I do that for that feeling? Did I do that to make myself feel good? Or did I do that because I really genuinely wanted to help somebody in their society through that action, right?
So that questioning of motive to me says that you are acting properly because you are inquisitive around your intention, which means that you're cognizant of it and you're trying to make sure that it was good. If someone was doing it without questioning because they knew their motive and their motive was self-serving, then yeah. But I think just in the breakdown of the questioning, it shows that you are reflective of oneself.
Yeah.
That to me is an interesting topic in and of itself, the process of repentance, which in religion is, that goes across almost all religion. But that cycle of self-reflection, picking apart what is useful and not, committing not to do the unuseful things again, and then committing to be better, typically that comes with a higher level of inspiration. When we can get rid of these things that are tying us down, if it's addiction or self-centeredness or whatever it might be, when you hear like an addict who comes out of addiction and the world becomes so bright to them, there's this level of, new understanding for them that's unlocked. But then they realize there's so much more I need to be doing. And so this process of continual improvement, which is what repentance is I think a brilliant process. What we've lost a lot of in today is this ability to reflect on one's actions and determine whether or not they're useful and change those non-useful behaviors. Because people want to say that words are offensive, microaggressions, safe spaces. If you want freedom of speech, you have to risk being offended because there's difference of idea. But that today is very difficult for some people because they live in an echo chamber where there is no difference of idea and they don't want to allow dissent of opinion.
Yeah.
And so, I think there's some very holistic aspects to that thought process of doing things for the right reason that, are tied deeply into ancient and current religion that allow for a person to become more and more useful in their sphere of influence.
Yeah, that's well said. Now, if somebody serves you with the wrong intent, does that ultimately have an impact on you, the person who was being served?
Well, I think a lot of times you can feel when someone's disingenuous. You ever had?
Well, a lot of times you can't, right?
Well,
So
sometimes if they're good or if they're extremely, manipulative, you may not know. But in the end, what happens is that person essentially becomes destroyed. They destroy themselves.
Yeah.
And then when that comes to light, all the actions they perform for you are negated.
Yeah.
Because you realize that they weren't acting out of true intent. So that's that's kind of the crux of the castle of cards, is when the castle falls, all involved in the castle of cards are affected.
Yeah.
That's why there is no winning when you're doing things that aren't from the proper motive, because eventually they catch up to you.